morning. Are we ready to rally? Are we ready to march? Are we ready to say enough is enough? There you go. My name is Charles Allen. I'm the Ward 6 Councilman. I want to welcome everybody to Ward 6 for today's March for DC Lives. We're going to go and get our program started. The mayor's on her way, but most importantly, we have some important young voices, student voices, young voices who are going to lead the way today. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. The restrooms are open at Brent Elementary. It's just across the street, so if anybody needs to use the restroom, Brent Elementary is open for families. When we march, when we step off, we're going to be leaving from this corner to my left, and we're going to head off that way. But we've got some great speakers that we want to hear from first before we get to that point. So, is everybody ready to rally? Yeah! What are we marching for? DC Lives. What are we marching for? DC Lives. What are we marching for? DC Lives. We know that we're going to hear from young people talk about gun violence. They are focused on their safety in their schools, safety in their community, but we know as a city we care about gun violence every single day, every single hour, to and from school, from the moment these young people go to sleep at night to the time they wake up and throughout their day. And we know that we've got smart ways that we go about it with smart laws, but also that we invest in public health, that we invest in smart approaches to make sure we reduce gun violence in every community. So I'm excited and proud of the work that we do here, but we're going to listen to these young voices, and our job today is to listen and to act. Do you agree? Yeah. All right. I'm going to introduce our MC, somebody who is an incredible young man who's going to lead our program today, Aaron King from Ward 5. And I want to hear you guys make a lot of noise to help him up on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron King.
Good morning, everyone. Great. Are you all ready to march? Because this issue matters. It matters. My name is Aaron King, and I'm a senior at Woodrow Wilson High School. Thank you all for coming out to support this very important movement. After the Parkland shooting, students decided to take action. That action was the March for Our Lives movement. Students all across the U.S. are joining here today in the nation's capital to encourage Congress to change gun laws to ensure the safety of students. I organized a core group of students at Wilson to promote this march because this issue is no stranger to youth in D.C. Many of us know someone who has been a victim of gun violence, or have had a personal experience with gun violence. I myself lost a cousin. His name was Kevin Allen, and he was simply trying to help another friend and ended up losing his life. I knew students like Jamari Sidnor. I worked my first summer job with her, and she was a Wilson Tiger. I knew Zaire Kelly, who was a student in the college-bound program with me. Two amazing students we've lost. James Smith, another teen who lost his life because another 16-year-old wanted his sneakers. These victims were all under the age of 21. Just in the first month of 2018, 5 teens were shot to death in D.C. Just 4 days ago, there was another school shooting in St. Mary's County. We have had 20 school shootings in the U.S. already this year. We have had 20 school shootings in the U.S. already this year. One of the major problems is that too many teens have access to guns and make hasty decisions because they are depressed, impatient, or want immediate satisfaction. The outcome is usually lives are ruined and lost. We should not be focusing on safety as students. Our focus should be on learning and graduating. For our society, gun violence has become too normal. And we need to change what is normal. Our normal should be that we all go to college, we all graduate from high school and prepare for a viable career and go to college and finish. But not just finish, reach back and help our community. In October 2017, I organized an event, which I called the Peace Picnic, an effort to help unite the Blue Divide and to build a better relationship with law enforcement and citizens in the community. The picnic gave citizens and law enforcement an opportunity to engage with each other through conversations, games like musical squares, relay races, line dancing, hand dancing, and food, of course. And I also had guest speakers to discuss issues that affect our community. I believe building trust is important, but I also believe law enforcement should be the ones with the guns to protect us, not our youth. So let's help change our normal today by joining the movement with students across the nation. This is a great start towards making a change to our normal by encouraging Congress to change gun laws. United we stand, a better chance to make change. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This morning, before we join the rest of the country on Pennsylvania Avenue, we will have our first speaker, who is Nehemiah Sellers from Ward 7 and who attends the District of Columbia International, and also a young man who won a Frederick Douglass speaking competitions. Let's give it up for Nehemiah.
Good morning, DC. Good morning. My name is Nehemiah Sellers. First, I want to show my gratitude to Black women for positive change, for giving me this opportunity to speak out on matters that are important to our city and the nation. And of course, I must honor our elders, the ancestors, and the Creator. I am here today as a proud resident of Southeast. Together, we are here to express concerns about the violence in our community and encourage others to take action, because we must do more than just talk about our problems. We are in a state of emergency because our communities and families are experiencing frustration, sadness, and distress. The environment we live in is having a negative effect on our youth. Many years ago, one of our great leaders, Malcolm X, said that education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. This means that with a proper foundation, we can be successful and reach our full potential in all that we do. Sadly, many of our great and powerful icons died from gun violence, such as Medgar Evers and Fred Hampton. More recently, we have also seen the tragic examples of Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Rakia Boyd, and many more. It is important that we say their names, to honor them, and remember how they inspired protest and change. In one of his less-known speeches, Dr. King asked the very important question, where do we go from here? He asked this question because he wanted to devise a plan to elevate us to a greater level of consciousness. Our leaders spoke out against injustice, racism, and violence, and together we can do the same. We have felt the pain of violence right here in DC. The first step is to acknowledge of where we are now. There are many forms of violence and death. Each has a different root that must be dug up. Racism is one form of violence that youth experience when they are profiled or looked at suspiciously by authorities. When we carry the burden of suspicion, it doesn't create an environment where we can do our best and thrive. Low expectations also put boundaries and limits on what we can achieve. In addition, poverty is another form of violence because it is difficult to learn and function when basic needs like food and shelter are not being met. When youth experience racism, poverty, low self-value, and police brutality, we don't have basic security, and we do not feel safe. This kills the mind. This kills the spirit. Fear, anger, and violence are all just some of the effects, but the causes come from our environment. The problems that we face are broader and more holistic. This is why today we need programs to help youth to deal with their pain. My spiritual home at Union Temple is a place of faith and learning. Part of our purpose is to help others regain consciousness of who they really are. The teachings also elevate children by inspiring them and assisting with school and life problems so that they can handle situations better. When people have a purpose and see a bright future for themselves, they are not violent. This is why today it is important for youth to receive proper education so we know our history and develop high self-esteem. We also need positive mentors from our own community who can understand us, who can guide us, and help us to cope with our emotions. Youth should be encouraged to organize and speak out on important issues like we're doing today. Finally, it would help for us to have entrepreneurship classes on building businesses so that we can create opportunities for ourselves. These solutions will help us become productive members of our community. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that, said Dr. King. The problems in our environment put youth in harmful and dangerous situations that create the crime and violence we experience. Dr. King acknowledges that the darkness that holds our community can only be driven out by the light of our inner spirit. I am not a victim of gun violence, and I don't want to be. Thank you.
What a wonderful speech. Let's give another round of applause. Now we will have Devontae Gliss, a young man from Ward 8 who attends Bishop McNamara High School.
Good morning. How y'all doing today? That's good.
How you doing?
More than 26,000 children and teens have been killed in gun violence since 1999. Our schools are unsafe. Our neighborhoods are unsafe. We must make it our priority to save these lives. The organizers of the March of Our Lives write in their mission statement, the mission and the focus of March for Our Lives is the demand that a comprehensive and effective bill be brought to Congress to address the gun issues. I would like to thank the DC chapter of Moms Demand Actions and other guests on the panel today for inviting me here today. This is my story. May 25th, 2015, my mom and I were enjoying a community event. If I could rewrite history, I would change the day a senseless act of gun violence rocked my world. My heart was broken. My first love was gone. Her name, Tamara Gliss, my mom. Today I stand before you to make a plea that we take action and stand united as one voice to stop the violence. As we march to let our government know we need you to act now. This is something that has gone on for too long. Our streets have been affected and we are not safe in our schools. In a perfect world, I would love if we traded the purchase of guns and bullets for books. As I close today, we will hear these words a lot: to stop the gun violence. What if we march to end the violence? This is the resolution we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will have Council Chair Phil Mendelson and all other members of the council. Have a round of applause for them.
Thank you. I'm taking my jacket off so that you can see the t-shirt. Good morning. What is it that we're saying? Enough is? Enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Little housekeeping. First of all, I was told we're going to be very brief, and we should be brief because we're the adults, and this is really about the students. The students taking back our society. I was told to announce that the Board of Elections has a table in the back. Am I right? A table in the very back, so that those who are not registered, and particularly the students who will be 18 by November, because they can vote in the primary, I believe. Pre-registered 16. So we want everybody to register to vote. That's important. So this is about the kids. And it makes such a difference. And I have to say, oh, and I should introduce my colleagues who are here: Robert White, at large; Kenyon McDuffie, Ward 5; Charles Allen, Ward 6, and we've already heard from David Grasso, at large; Vince Gray, former mayor in Ward 7; Alyssa Silverman, at large. So we've been there. We, the adults on the city council, we've been there when it comes to reasonable gun regulation. But what we've seen across this country is that the adults aren't there. And there needs to be change. So we thought when Newtown happened, 27 elementary school kids murdered. Or Orlando, 49 individuals murdered. Las Vegas, 58 murdered. 851 injured. You'd think there would be change, but there hasn't been. The adults have failed. It's time for something new and different, and that's what we're seeing with students. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're brief, because we want to hear from the students. They will make a change. We've seen that throughout the history of this country, where students can make a change, and that's what we need. Enough? 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 Thank you.
By Imani Romney, who's from Ward 6 and attends Richard Wright Public Charter School.
Hello, my name is Imani Romney and I attend Richard Wright Public Charter School. I had a friend ask me, if this same shooting, a same situation like this happened in our school, will we get the same amount of press? A school of color? I told her, I don't know. But that doesn't mean that we should stop fighting. And that doesn't mean that we should sit back and watch and let more of these things happen. I've seen lives in my own neighborhood being taken away. I thought that I wasn't that close to this, but it turns out it can happen to anybody. And I have this poem today to show that if it were to happen to someone who looked like me, who goes to schools like me, that it would matter, because they are to America. I am America. I salute at a flag that you say isn't mine. I live in a nation that the slaves outlined, and I walk on the soil that opportunity left behind. I am America. The child of 2 immigrant parents. I am told to leave this country or pay America's rent. Every day, I meet the face of discrimination. I see protests of how I don't belong in this nation. I feel the souls of the natives turning away in shame. The life of America has rebranded its name. They met the outsiders with arms and goods, but met heartless steel and germs so insane. But now it's a new day, and the roles have changed unsaid. Immigrants hope to meet warm arms, but supremacists hide behind a wall instead. Life in America is complicated for all, but immigrants and people of color have it worse. It's like having melanin is some kind of curse. In the land of the free, we are still oppressed and don't have full equality, but that doesn't mean I won't stand for my nation. Unacclaimed like a child whose parents still appropriate their creations. For I am America, even if my skin isn't white, my eyes piercing blue, I still bleed red. For I am America, even if it's unsaid. Thank you.
Another round of applause, folks. Amazing, amazing. And now, I have the honor to introduce our mayor, Muriel Bowser, for the District of Columbia.
Free DC! Good morning, everybody. I am bringing you greetings on behalf of every Washingtonian who, like you and me, are tired of gun violence on our streets, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, in every city in America, and in our suburbs. And we are here to demand action. I want to thank all the members of the Council of the District of Columbia. Let's give them a big round of applause. You should be proud that your Council of the District of Columbia has moved on some of the toughest and smartest gun legislation in the United States of America. But our laws don't help us if Virginia doesn't pass common sense gun laws, if Maryland doesn't pass common sense gun laws, and there are illegal guns coming to our city. That is why we need federal action, so we have gun laws that affect every state, and the next state in the United States of America, Washington, D.C. We have had too many tragedies. For me, I thought they would do something when we had the tragedy in Sandy Hook. Little 6-year-old children gunned down in their school. I thought they would do something when we had a tragedy in the church in South Carolina. I thought they would do something after the Pulse nightclub where people were gunned down just going to have fun. We have focused too much on protecting the rights of a few and putting the lives of the many in harm's way. We can have a Second Amendment and have common sense gun laws, and that's what we demand today. We are here to remember the lives of Zaire Kelly, of Stephen Slaughter, of Jamari Sidnor, young people who didn't even reach the age where they could graduate from high school and college and raise their own families. DC residents who died too soon at the end of senseless gun violence. We can and must do better by our children. And we can follow our children, because our children are leading us right now to demand that we stand up against the NRA, vote out anybody who kowtows to the NRA, and make change in Florida, starting with Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio wants to pass guns for Washington, D.C. that will allow AR-15s. D.C. And the students of Washington, D.C. will join with their colleagues from around the nation today to say, enough is enough.
And now we will have Nevaeh Williams from Ward 8 who attends National Collegiate Prep.
Hello, my name is Nevaeh Williams. I attend National Collegiate Prep. There is no such thing as wrong place or wrong time when the place is a school. And unfortunately, way too often, schools has become the worst place due to mass shootings. I go to school every day to learn and do my favorite activities such as volleyball and hanging out with friends. I don't go to school to have to fear for my life and also my peers too. When a child loses a parent, that child is called an orphan. But because of how terrible an incident it is for a parent to lose a child, there's no word to describe it. These moments disrupt the natural circle of life by putting a violent stop to all their untapped potential. The U.S. has the largest number of mass shootings, and these mass shootings keep happening in schools. Schools have to have stricter policies to increase safety in schools. We all should feel safe in a school no matter the environment. If you are not safe, you cannot learn. And I want to learn every day, not worry about my safety. I believe that by teaching children about the dangers of guns, gun violence can end not just in schools, but everywhere. Almost every week, someone in my community dies due to gun violence and no one says a thing. Will this march help all lives, including the people of minority, or the lives that they think matter? It is sad to say that it took a mass shooting in Florida for people to start realizing that it's a danger and for people to start doing something about it. More than half of the homicide victims in Washington, D.C. since the beginning of this year have been under the age of 19 dying due to gun violence. The only winners in gun violence is the NRA, who gains money from the guns being bought. Children are growing up thinking that guns are cool because they're displayed everywhere, in games, movies, TV shows, and etc. The U.S. remains the largest exporter of conventional weapons in the world. Why are regular American people able to have military-grade weapons? You can literally go online and buy guns so easily. Knowledge can become powerful when we are willing to make students master real weapons in schools. We all need to work together. A change has to happen.
Now we will have Lauren Renford from Ward 7 who attends Thurgood Marshall Academy and is also a part of the Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute.
Good morning, everyone. There comes a time when you realize prayers and condolences are void and cannot protect the bodies of DC youth from illegal firearms. I came to this conclusion after the death of my boyfriend, Zaire Kelly, on September 20th, 2017. 2 deaths followed in the span of 10 days. Andrew Cook, Marcus Shepard. These are only 3 names of 89 killed by a gun last year in our city. Gentrification is one factor of many, placing black residents into the poorest corners of the district, with gun trafficking stealing the lives of my generation. We as youth has dramatized this epidemic. It can no longer be ignored, and our only next step is direct action. To elected officials, let's work together to do more. For years, the youth in this city have provided input into the way the city runs. Instead of input, we want a seat at the table to make decisions. The work of the youth will remain in vain if you do not fulfill your duty of protecting the city. I play my own active role in raising awareness about this issue that is specific to DC. After the death of Zaire, I created a petition to create a community mirror that would start the conversation across all wards and honor the many faces of slain youth. It was quickly clear by the thousands of signatures that this aspiration is shared by my community. However, I cannot find a wall. DC, will you help me find a wall? But a place to remember these young leaders we have lost does not help address the solutions to how we can prevent more loss. We need a more thorough investigation of gun trafficking. There are 0 gun stores in the city. Our neighboring city needs to tighten their gun laws, Maryland and Virginia. Another solution is the creation of a program that mentors the young people pulling the triggers. The answer is not locking these young men behind bars and releasing them when they exhibit good behavior. The answer is acknowledging that these young people are human and healing from their past traumas. Living in a part of the city where people do not have equal access to resources creates a subconscious need to rob their brothers and sisters of their materialistic items, or in most cases, their own lives. I am marching for the college-bound black girl who could not attend FAMU in the fall because she was struck by stray bullets. I am marching for my boyfriend who was murdered before he could even apply to FAMU. For a sophomore who was killed over his Nike Air Jordans while he played basketball in Southeast Washington. My city shines no more. Too many suns are gone. My name is Lauren and I have had enough.
Give another round of applause. For these last 2 speakers, we will start to transition the program to be more about congressional interference in DC's gun laws. When I say hands off, you all say DC. Hands off! DC! Hands off! DC! Hands off! DC! I love it. Now we will have Ryan Battle from Ward 2, who attends School Without Walls, and he will be speaking about DC voting rights. Let's give a round of applause for Ryan.
Good morning. Come on, you guys sound asleep. We can do better than that. We're here to rally for life. Good morning. Good morning. Today, I came to talk to you, red, white, and blue. Yes, you. I want to talk to you, red, white, and blue, about the nameless pieces of steel in forms of bullets, jail cells, and billionaire manufacturers that are given more rights than 700,000 names right here in our nation's capital. I want to talk to you, red, white, and blue, about thousands of shoes representing lives lost can be laid on a lawn that which the people who live on, pay taxes for, are not even represented. But you are only talking about kicking people out of the country. I want to talk to you, red, white, and blue, about what happens when you have so many voices lost behind the politics of why DC shouldn't become a state, Rubio. Instead of opening our ears to every citizen on this soil to prevent weapons of war and mines of destruction on our streets and in our classrooms. Statehood. I want to talk to you, red, white, and blue, about making sure that the people who march in Washington know that the footsteps don't disappear when they leave our nation's capital and return home. Statehood. I want to talk to you about why Washington, D.C. has not become your 51st star, red, white, and blue. When we have leaders like Mayor Bowser and Representative Holmes Norton paving way for not just equality, but justice and equity. And we are not being counted. Statehood. I want to talk to you, red, white, and blue, about 700,000 more voices making flags flutter as we scream Black Lives Matter and march for our lives. I want to talk to you, red, white, and blue, about DC having its rightful seat at the table, not just shoes on the lawn. A seat at the table as the 51st state of the United States of America. United States of America. Finally, I'm talking to you, red, white, and blue. That means I am talking to you too. You, here in this crowd, residents and non-residents. It was once said by the father of tragedy that from a small seed, a mighty trunk will grow. You matter. Your voice, your seed matters. Lift it. Fight for us to be the 51st state. And we promise to be the seed in the red, white, and blue to show you what a mighty tree of life looks like. A mighty tree of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Lastly, over 100 years ago, Octavius Cotto died trying to fight what we are guaranteed, what we take for granted, our right to vote. Stay with me now. On April 4th, 10 days from now, it will be 50 years since Martin Luther King Jr. died for something we take for granted, life. You see, I put them together because every chance I get, because it is my job to remind you, with your voice, you have the power to give life or destroy it. I choose to give. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Come on, give it up for him. Finally, I have the pleasure to introduce our last speaker, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton.
Thank you, GC, for being here. We're pleased to welcome millions who want strong gun laws. We're here to save our strong gun laws. We are very indebted to the youngsters, the young people who have spoken here today. They are the leaders of a new American movement. Adults have failed to stop gun violence, but the young people you hear today, they have formed an irresistible movement that cannot and will not be stopped. They will stop gun violence. Now, we who live in the nation's capital are at the epicenter of the gun control struggle. We have to fight for our lives every session of Congress as members of the House and Senate stroll to the floor with bills to take away our strong gun control laws. They are ignoring the democratic principles of our country. They are ignoring our right to self-government. We will not be ignored. That's why we are joining this movement today. The latest villains in the piece are Tom Garrett of Virginia, the representative of that state. We can't vote for him, so don't mess with our laws. And of course, the ultimate villain, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. Special shame on Mark Rubio, who has just lost 17 precious lives in Parkland, Florida. Shame on Mark Rubio. His bill would eliminate each and every gun safety law in the District of Columbia. Bad enough to do that. Others have done that, but his bill has a deeply sinister purpose. Upon introducing his bill, the National Rifle Association raised his rating from a B+ to an A on the backs of the residents of the District of Columbia. So Rubio keeps introducing that bill to get his NRA payoff every session. The mayor wrote him a letter, said, please withdraw your bill after what happened in your own state at the Douglas School. But he wrote her back, refusing to withdraw his bill. Right on, sister. She said, time to withdraw him. Let's withdraw Mark Rubio. You know, Senator Rubio can't do this to any other state. He takes advantage of the fact that we are not yet a state, but my friends, we are on our way to becoming the 51st state of the United States of America. But step back, Rubio. We have shown him you don't have to be a state to stop his bill. We don't have to be a state to keep you from robbing us of our gun safety laws. We have stopped him each and every time, 3 years running, and with this march today, we're gonna keep on stopping Rubio from robbing DC of our precious gun safety laws. We're gonna keep beating him until we beat him right out of the Senate. So, yeah, DC, you right here, marchers, all of you. You're here where you belong. But you're here for you and you are here for us. We join forces in solidarity with the millions of young people who are coming here today to demand of the Congress gun safety laws. But we also march with a special mission today from the District of Columbia to ask the marchers to join us in making sure that Marco Rubio's anti-gun control, anti-home rule bill never becomes law in the District of Columbia. Yes, we march to get Congress to pass gun control laws. You know what? We want Congress to pass gun control laws as strong as the gun control laws of the District of Columbia. So we pledge today, my friends, not only to resist, but to persist until strong gun safety laws are not only the law of the city of the District of Columbia, but until gun safety strong laws are the law of the United States of America. March on.
We have one final speaker, everyone. I'd like to introduce Attorney General Karl Racine.
Okay. We're going to be real brief. We're going to shut it down. Everybody okay there? Okay, do we need first aid? First aid, stage left, okay. All right, okay, well look, I'm here with two of my young brothers who happen to be residents of Ward 8 and attend schools in the District of Columbia. I'm here to really convey one more message to you. We've heard from Mayor Bowser. We've understood what Mayor Bowser is doing to fight on our behalf. We've also heard from our chairman and all the council members. There is unanimity in the district government about where we stand on guns. What I want to raise for you is one additional thought. What if we could get more voters to vote in favor of common sense gun laws? And if we could, how would we do it? Well, the District of Columbia not only leads in common sense gun restrictions, it also leads in common sense legislation that would actually have 16-year-olds in the District of Columbia being able to vote. How many of you have been in awe of all the young people who came here today to speak their minds and their hearts? Don't you think that the bill that Charles Allen has before the council that would permit 16-year-olds in the District of Columbia to vote should pass? Don't you think once we pass that law and once Mayor Bowser signs that law, don't you think that other states will follow? It's time for us old people to step back and lead, and I'm happy to follow. Thank you very much. Let's march on.
Hey, everybody. I'm Michael Brown. I'm your United States Senator. And you know what? I don't have a vote, but I have a voice. And we all have a voice. And we should be out here start troubling the water. Okay? Make no mistake what we're doing today. We're standing up to bullies. We're standing up to gun owners that think the only way to protect their Second Amendment right is on the backs of our children. We're standing up to the NRA that acts like a public interest group, but is an industry lobbyist that only cares about selling guns. And we're standing up to a Congress that turns its back on doing what they know is right. And I'm the senator from the District of Columbia. I was elected to represent you, not Marco Rubio. And I don't have a vote, but I have a voice. And I say to Senator Rubio, we're done. Don't change our gun laws. Now, guys, we got to get fired up to go out there. So say this with me. Dump the guns, save the children. We have no more lives to give. Come on. Dump the guns, save the children. We have no more lives to give. Dump the guns, save the children. We have no more lives to give. Thank you.
I think that's it, guys. I think that's it.
One last thing, everyone, one last thing. In a few minutes, we will be leaving for the National March over there from the northwest corner of the park. And one last thing. When I say hands off, you all say DC. Hands off. DC. Hands off. DC. Hands off. DC. Hands off. Thank you.
That's it.